The future confidence. I will do my best to explain. I am 37 years old, just spent 12 years with my ex-fiancé. We had an extremely long engagement and didn't make it to the altar, and after reading many posts on another site, I am so very glad we never got married or had kids. Anyways, I went through a really rough time in my teenage years, a huge trauma that caused a few issues for me. The main issues are very low self-esteem, shame and self-doubt. I used to have some trust issues as well, but over the years I worked hard on that with my ex-fiancé. This woman, my ex-fiancé, loved me unconditionally with her whole heart and soul for years and years, but the last few years we both were sort of going through the motions. It was obvious we weren't in love anymore, and I keep telling myself that, but I can't figure out why it hurts so badly right now to be away from her. Anyways, a little over 2 months ago, she began talking to an old friend of ours on Facebook often. She started acting strangely, hiding things, lying. It was very obvious to me what was happening, and I started to get extremely anxious, and for my own good I had to leave. She wanted me gone as well. It felt like constant anxiety attack. And it makes me really sad to think all she was concerned with was herself. She saw how badly it was hurting me and how much anguish I was in, and she kept talking to him. So, I left there and went to stay with my family, and 3 weeks later, of course, her and the guy became a couple, which she felt the need to tell me all about. She owed it to me after 12 years. I am just really tired of the pain and anguish, and so sick of giving her so much power over my life. But honestly, she still can affect me very deeply. I am trying to get to the point of zero contact with her, but the thought of that really frightens me. I almost feel like the woman I was with for 12 years passed away, and she is someone completely different now. I really don't want to feel the anger stage. I think when we got engaged, we were just kidding ourselves, and deep down we knew we weren't ever going to marry. She changed her phone number and our only communication is extremely limited emailing. I am starting to feel better though, but still in the what the F stage, still sort of foggy at times and have my moments. But all in all, when I think about it, it is getting better. It's been 2 months. Her and I met online 13 years ago. We talked online and then on the phone for about 10 months. We both felt very hard for each other before ever meeting in person. It honestly felt like our souls merged into one. Then we decided I should go visit her. Got in my car and headed south 1,000 miles away. The visit lasted 12 years. We both made many mistakes during the relationship. We both have traumatic pasts, and the issues affected us. The last few years it seemed like we slowly drifted apart. We sort of just were comfortable with each other and didn't know how to let go. But that doesn't change the hurt. We spent a lot of years together. She spent her entire 20s with me, from 19 to 31. But as we were just going through the motions, I suggested we try therapy. I didn't want to give up on her, and I honestly just felt like what we were experiencing was a normal part of a long-term relationship. I just felt like no matter what we would work through any issues and remain together. Our physical life essentially stopped. The last year we might have been together physically 5 times at most. I think back and wonder why I didn't just walk away then. But again, I was in the fog, and when you are in it, it's tough to really make sound decisions. This is where the story changes drastically. About 2.5 to 3 months ago things changed. We met on America Online in a chat room, and we made a bunch of friends. A while back she started a Facebook page for people who were part of that chat room. She exchanged phone numbers with a few people, a male friend, more so a friend of mine, but she knew him as well. So that's when it started, I think. But about 2.5 months ago they started talking on Facebook in public, and then in private messages, and he was talking with me as well, and I confided in him how it felt like her and I were really struggling badly, and he then went all out, talking to her nonstop, flirting with her, telling her everything she wanted to hear, and that's when the lying started. She would have secret calls, and always deleting her texts, and then she was talking with him on Facebook messages, and one time I asked her what she was talking about and she freaked out and deleted the whole convo, and this sent my mind spinning. All the lies kept going, and each second my anxiety level went higher and higher. I have general anxiety disorder and a few other issues, and she knew it. They both knew how badly I was suffering. And it was as if I was witnessing our souls separate. I was literally watching her, the woman I loved, fall in love with someone else, right in front of my eyes. I could not take it any longer, and I told her I needed to leave. I think they both thought if they kept talking, I would leave, and she deserves to be happy, just like I do, so I gave her space. I went back up north 1,000 miles away to stay with family. 3 weeks later she went to visit him for the weekend. I know this story might not be as extreme as others, but I am not in a world of pain and anguish I can't even begin to explain. They are dating now. She has visited him twice and he visited her at least once. I still have some clothing there and her and I have emailed, but I am so very terrified of thinking that I am never going to talk to her ever again. I am afraid to have the stuff sent to me because I am afraid of what it will feel like. I gave her her space. I backed off 100% after I left. I did mess up a few times though. Once on my birthday, I had a few beers, maybe more than a few, and I started calling her and she answered and she was with him. She put him on the phone, then she said, "Jay, if you call me one more time you are going to hear him X me," and those words haunt me to this day. It's been over a month since she said those words, but it still crushes me and breaks my heart over and over again. I feel like the woman I was going to marry, the woman I spent 12 years of my life with, is gone. I feel like she died, to be honest, because the person she is now, I don't recognize at all. I am living day by day, barely, but the pain and anguish get very intense at times. Sleep is extremely difficult. I lost touch with family and friends, and I really need to start building a new life, a new group of friends. I am in a brand new, very small, quiet town, and I don't know many people here, and I have tried to go out and meet people, but I always find myself coming back online. So anyways, I am 37 years old and I feel like I have had enough pain in my life for 1,000 lifetimes. I've been through plenty of pain in my life, and what she said did hurt me to my soul. But what's so sick is I'm happy for her. I am glad she fell in love, if that's what it is. I am glad she has someone to talk to maybe make a life with. I am just terrified of how much pain is to come. I learned long ago that forgiveness was the only way to maintain sanity. I learned in my teens that if I was not able to forgive, I would not survive. I have been nothing but a gentleman to her. After she told me they were together and she spent the weekend with him, I called her to tell her how happy I was for her, and how I stayed well past the point I should have to make sure she had someone. I wished them both well, and then they separately talked to all of our friends and told them what a liar I was, and she proceeded to tell them all lie after lie to make sure they would stop talking to me, and you know what? They did. What's done is done. She has made it very clear that she wants me to suffer, and maybe part of that is the fact that I actually made the choice to walk away. Felt like she was the one I was meant to be with for life, but I guess on some level after we got engaged, we both knew it may not end up in marriage, which may be confusing, I know. I guess I felt like she was my soulmate at the beginning, and maybe I was hers as well, but I guess we just started drifting so very far apart. We talked about having kids a lot early on, and as the relationship evolved and changed, I suppose I talked about it more. Looking back, I guess there were many signs that this was over well before it was over. I am not really sure about whether she was putting off getting married. It was just one of those things. We got engaged when we had the money and agreed to have a long engagement. We weren't in a hurry to get married. And then days became weeks, and weeks became months, and so on and so on. Hindsight is 20/20, yes. And this was my second serious relationship, and her first, so maybe what we thought was love was something else. I don't know, it surely felt like we loved one another the first 8 to 9 years. So the reason we didn't get married, I really can't answer that. I guess she just realized a while back I wasn't the one she wanted to be with for life. That's the second time someone has asked me that. Frankly, I am glad as hell we never did get married at this point. And yes, I know I missed plenty of warning signs, and I really feel foolish and stupid. But when you are in it, it's not as easy to see, or maybe not see, but it's not as easy to accept. I guess I am not sure. I can't speak for her, and I guess when I really think about it, marrying her would have been a really horrible decision. It's all speculation at this point, and it's honestly futile to even wonder about it. I don't know, and I'm caring less and less about the whys and the what-ifs, to be honest. Trust me, she wanted to get a reaction out of me. You should have heard her voice when I just casually told her how happy I was for her. She stuttered and didn't really know how to react. Sure, I was angry, and I can understand being labeled as a Mr. Nice Guy, and I am fine with that. I dealt with the whole situation with class and dignity. They chose to be childish and classless. Karma is a bee though, and it's creeping up on them now. The last few days I was there with her, it was very obvious to me she had changed drastically and was hiding things. Deleting texts and phone calls. But it was 3 weeks after I left, after she ended it with me officially, that she went to visit him and they became a couple. Still wish she never told me. I never asked, and I had stopped all contact with her. Right now, sadly, getting out into the real world is extremely difficult. I live in a new town, a very small town, and don't have a vehicle. When she called me to tell me she was with the other guy, how should I have reacted? Should I have screamed and yelled and told her how angry I was? Should I have cried and begged and told her how much she hurt me? I wasn't about to give her any satisfaction, so I wished her well, told her to be happy, and that was it. And I have felt extreme anger over these past few months. I just haven't felt the need to express it on here. Really struggling today. I guess it's not best to handle this crap all by myself, but oh well, that's the hand I have been dealt. Feeling completely disconnected from everyone, including my family and her family, who was like my own for 12 years. This is really trippy, trying to get out there and meet people and stay active, exercising and all, but wow, I guess I messed up big time, because I honestly feel so very alone at this point. And before anyone comments that I am looking for attention, honestly just wondering if anyone has been in this spot in the past or is there now. I am working on a plan though. 1. First priority gets working. 2. Keep staying active physically. 3. Finish my education. I am trying to make some plans to have for the future, so I have something to think about other than all the bull crap. I fully intended my trip to first visit to her to be just that, a visit. I tried to leave many times, but she wouldn't let me go. And I tried to walk away countless times throughout the relationship, but she wouldn't let me go, and I wasn't about to leave unless I was 100%. She wanted me gone. 3 months ago I was 100%. I spent a lot of time, years, devoted to helping my family and sacrificed my own success, and would do it all over again in a heartbeat. I am extremely picky and no, I don't want to settle, and maybe I don't have the right to be picky, but I don't think it's insane to think someone would love me for me, money or no money. I am not sure exactly what was said by her to our friends, but one of my good friends said it was all a bunch of bull crap, and because I wasn't able to defend myself, they figured might as well isolate me. That being said, I have lost touch with all of them. I am sure if I really put some effort in, I could get a call or an email. But if any of them were in the position I am in, I would be the first to call them, be there for them in whatever way they needed. So, I am literally starting life over, page 1. I am feeling a lot better with the idea of not asking for my things back. I don't want to speak to her ever again. I am pretty close to emailing the guy and in the biggest font possible say enjoy my sloppy seconds. And there is no chance she will ever contact me ever again. I guess it can't hurt to send a few emails, maybe make a few phone calls to see if the few friends I have are still around. But I can't help but think they should be the ones reaching out to me. Same with my family, but that's a whole other story. I am sort of on the outs with much of my family as well. I feel like I did learn a lot about myself from this relationship. Some things I know I need to change. I know I have a lot of work to do, but I also know there are things that I do like about myself. I learned a great deal about relationships, and even though her and I weren't married, I feel like it was pretty close. Except having the legal paperwork, I know exactly what it takes to make a relationship work, and I am very certain I know what type of woman I want. I just need to spend a few years on my own, I think, getting myself together, and learning to be happy on my own prior to starting something new. This is the first time minus the year in between first and second relationship that I have been on my own, single in 16 years. I know I made that mistake with my first serious relationship. She flat out had an affair while we were still a couple. When the guy gets bored with her, after a few months, who did she start calling from early in the morning? Yes, me, asking if we could have dinner and if she could spend the night. And I was 23 to 24 at the time, and of course we got back together and the same thing happened. No, I know it hurts right now and it's going to be a long process. But hearing her voice might make it a lot more difficult than I think. So never speaking to her again is the plan, and I can't believe I am at this point, but that does give me peace of mind. Well, the first one, she was just really young. She was 22, I think, maybe 23, young and stupid and didn't want to be so serious after 4 years. And honestly, with this recent one, we had grown so very far apart, and we were just going through the motions. But for some reason, perhaps the length of time, 12 years, we were both terrified to let go of each other, and she started up the E and it was time to say goodbye. Yeah, I am looking to get into some talk therapy here in my new locale. And she has called 5 times now, or that number has, still no voicemail. As far as this recent one, it was cruel, malicious, and nearly unethical based on her knowledge of my past, and I won't ever forget those words. They are so burned into my psyche I may never be the same person. I am not trying to paint this wonderful picture, and I know she isn't the woman I fell in love with 12 plus years ago, and no ducking chance in hell that I am answering the phone. If I could anyways, the phone is not working properly anyways. I can't hear people and people can't hear me. Well, that night was a bit of a fog to me. Drank a crap load of whiskey, and I am sorry if I didn't mention this, or perhaps didn't explain it accurately. I did call a lot. I actually checked the other day how many times I called, but a week after she did express true remorse, she had no right to say the horrible things she said. I didn't deserve it, and she would understand if I never forgave her. That being said, had the roles been reversed and I was with a new girl and my ex was calling me a lot, I would have just turned the phone off. Anyways, the thought is still there and will be forever, but it doesn't sting quite as much. Not making excuses for her at all, it was cold, cruel, and the most horrible thing she could have said to me, and she is a crappy person for doing so, and the person I fell in love with is gone. She is gone to me now. A week after that happened, on June 21st, we emailed a few times and she said apologized. Don't really recall if we exchanged more emails until I got a call from her brother-in-law, and I messed up and emailed her 1 week ago or so, and I was being a jerk, and she was being her cold self. But since that night it's been extremely limited and mainly just about getting my belongings out of her place. But from this moment on I am never speaking to her again. I am just going to text this random number back saying that, and add in there, if she or whomever replies to this text, I will be calling the police and filing a restraining order. It's either about the stuff, which I don't think it is because we already agreed on a date for me to get the stuff bought. I think she is calling to be cruel and malicious again, hence not leaving a voicemail. After all the calls, wanting me to answer, and her my reaction when she tells me whatever it is, she is a sick person, indeed. Don't need to block the number. Phone is shot. I am getting a new one, a new number shortly. I guess blocking the number would make a statement. But for now it seems okay. Whomever it was has gotten the hint. No calls for a few hours. She emailed from another account though, deleted it though. Feeling slightly better today, trying very hard to find work. Living in a new state, finally after so long finishing up my education. Hopefully if everything works out, I still have my moments. However, the thoughts and images that once nearly paralyzed me seem to sting less and less. I won't lie, I still miss her and her family very dearly, but I think I have quick waves of acceptance. I am not in that stage of grief quite yet, but I do have moments, and they aren't nearly as bad as I once thought they might be. Also, I had a female friend over and it was quite interesting, very different, fun, but I am still far, far away from being ready to be with someone else. I just wish I could stop hating her 1 second, feeling free and happy to be away from her, and in the next second missing her so badly. This doesn't happen often, but on occasion something will trigger the hatred or love and I become very confused. Now my ex is emailing my mother being all sweet, telling my mother sorry she missed her birthday, hope everyone is doing well, and she said she was trying to get a hold of me, but the last we talked via email I was hostile. No crap, I was hostile. I think I had the right to be. I am not sure how I feel right now. It feels equally scary and exciting at the same time. Once my clothing is donated to Goodwill and my paperwork sent up, that's it, no link to her at all, except the years we spent together. Oh well, sorry, I know people who went through a divorce with kids and all the legal stuff read my threads and say, well, you got off easy. Thank God you didn't marry her. But honestly, being with someone for 12 years, kids or no kids, being legally married or not, it's still going to hurt like hell, and the pain is lessening but also very real. I was just surprised she was trying to be so sweet to my mother when they never got along to begin with anyways. And her and I had agreed that I had until the end of August to figure out what to do with my belongings. I still think she is full of crap. There is no possible way there are as many boxes of clothing as she is saying. No chance. I just need to rip this band-aid off quickly, send one last email, donate my clothing. I will send a pre-stamped package for my paperwork and then reblock her email, and that's all. I was physically able to feel our souls separate and in about 4 to 5 days witness her changing, see it in her face, catch the lies, the odd behavior, the cover-ups, the deleting of messages, text, emails. It was so very rapid and I quickly realized how badly I needed to get away. Some tell me, her included, she wanted me to stay, stand my ground and fight for her. However, at that point I was so beyond broken. For those who don't believe in the concept of soulmates, please believe me, they do exist, and on occasion the souls separate. On a brighter note, I seem to have weathered the storm, met someone new, but it feels like we are going rather quickly emotionally, and I am not sure how to slow it down. Words just fall out of my mouth and she is being very receptive. However, I don't know how soon is too soon to really know it in my heart and speak more freely about how I feel. To reestablish my own identity, so to speak, I am going to be finishing my master's degree this upcoming year or so, trying to exercise a lot. But what seems to really help with calming my mind and putting the past to rest is talking to this new woman. But all in all, I think it's best for now to go slowly and really focus on myself, which I haven't really done ever in my life. I think she may be a legit sociopath. Anyways, I have a feeling I am going to stop thinking about her and the whole situation pretty soon. I hope. We'll see. I certainly don't feel young. I do feel a lot stronger some of the time, but other times feel so completely destroyed. But I have noticed the roller coaster has sort of slowed down a bit, and perhaps the ups and downs don't feel as drastic. But I guess in the grand scheme of things I am relatively young. I don't know, by this age, 37. I always figured her and I would have a house and kids. I guess that's still possible with someone else though. I was trying to figure out what it was I was feeling. But indifference is the perfect word. I don't hate her oddly enough, and certainly any love I had for her is gone. It's just sort of blah, any way the wind blows. If she is happy, okay great. If she is sad, okay great. I am completely indifferent about her and don't want or need to talk to her ever again. My mother emailed with her and she is sending me my clothing and paperwork. I learned so much from the whole situation though, and really started to realize how strong a person I am, despite feeling so very hurt and weak at times. I mean, it's been 3 months since I left, 2 months since she got involved with the other guy, and needed to rub it in my face, and I am honestly feeling better and better each day. Yes, I still have horrible days, but they seem to be further and further apart. Actually, feeling pretty relieved because some people were saying after the length of time her and I were together and how very horrible she was post-split, this could take years to recover. Update, I was chatting with someone on Facebook, a mutual friend of my ex and I was bringing her up to speed, how I was doing and whatnot. I didn't mention my ex once. My friend says, hey, is my ex pregnant? Because they got married a few days ago. And my first thought was, holy F, I really don't give a crap. Out of nowhere she emailed me she had sent some of my clothing and other things. She was basically just asking for money, nearly $100 to ship what she did. I emailed her back, you are a psychopath, why would you include a 30th birthday card you gave me in the boxes you shipped? Her, sorry, I didn't realize I put the card in there, I didn't mean to bother you. Me, you are always a bother, now duck off. Her, I am so deeply sorry I hurt you, you didn't deserve that. You deserve to be happy and remain happy for life. Anyways, I was pretty sure I blocked all of her emails. Maybe I just need to delete my current email and start fresh. So yeah, she got married to the OM 2 weeks ago roughly, and I am guessing is pregnant. but she is being very strange. I did email her again and asked her to please stop contacting me, and I would send her the money for the packages. I mean, she pawned, sold the $5,000 engagement ring, so yay, screw her. So I mentioned the ring and told her friendship was not even remotely possible, that talking in any capacity wasn't possible either. She sent a very long email which I am about to delete and block another one of her email addresses. Haven't read more than the first line. I am glad you met someone new. I am a little curious about the content of the email, but at the same time, I am not about to get sucked back into any bull crap. Half a year later. So, I survived the first 8 months post-end of a 12-year relationship. I honestly do think of her less and less, and I am at the point where I wish nothing but the best for her. I have forgiven her and have started to forgive myself for all the mistakes I made along the way. Anyways, to my point, I have gotten used to the feeling of being single. I really have. I sleep well at night, whereas I used to rarely sleep and dread falling asleep alone. I have gotten used to falling asleep alone and waking up alone. I really have. The holidays were tough, I won't lie, but generally I feel pretty okay mentally. The thought of her and what happened used to run through my mind and cause so much hatred, anger, and anxiety. I felt like I was losing my mind. On a scale of 1 to 10, the first few months I was no doubt a 10. Now I have my moments where I spoke at a 5 or 6 but typically remain at a 2 to 3 in terms of feeling negatively. Meaning in a typical day I used to pretty much think of her 100% of the time, and now it's down to 20 to 30% at the very most. Okay, so to my point. So, I have gotten used to being single. The initial shock and pain has completely worn off, but I am really still struggling being alone, not in terms of being in a romantic relationship, but I really don't have friends to talk to. I know many people maintain lifelong friendships. I am not one of those people. I have had many terrific friends over the years, but honestly too much time has passed and everyone has moved on in their life. I think this may be a guy thing. I know many of my male friends, with the exception of one, would never really talk to me about how I was feeling. This is viewed as weakness, and the guys I have been friends with don't tolerate that sort of thing. I guess my main question here is, now what? I did find a new job in the new state I was living in and met a few nice people, but how do I am 37-year-old male who is still in the process of creating his life, finishing my education, trying to jump into a career. How do I either reestablish old friendships, which I really tried to do but it didn't work, or how do I meet and make new friends? I feel so strange about it. It's not like I can walk up to someone and say, hey, how are you? Would you like to be friends? I am just sort of feeling lost, and once again, but this time I am not feeling alone because of my ex. It's more just a situational thing. I really don't feel like I have that supportive group of people in my life that I need so badly right now. Lastly, I am planning on moving back with my family for a little while. The last 6 months I have lived 4 hours away from my entire family with a roommate for the previous 5 months. Him and I really have nothing at all in common, and he very much a negative influence on my life. He is a completely bitter and negative 62-year-old man, and being around him makes me feel depressed and even worse than that from time to time. I am certain if I was to get out and join a club, for example, I could certainly meet new people, and who knows, perhaps a friendship could develop. I just need to relax, take a few deep breaths, and accept that my life is where it is, and I can change it if I focus. My comment: OP did a decent job leaving the relationship. He needs sometimes to go out and just to meet people. It should get easier from here, it just takes a little bit of time. Do you agree?